if we were going to sit here, it's 9 o'clock on a Friday, if we're going to sit here all of today, all of tomorrow, all of Sunday, and then through to 3 a.m. Monday, that's 66 hours. That's how long the average Australian spends waiting in the line every year. And 66 hours, it's a bloody long time. It's more time than most of us spend exercising. It's more time than most of us spend meditating. It's more time than most of us spend making love. And because we spend so much time doing it, waiting in lines, we should at least have some sort of understanding as to what lines are and what are they for and what's their purpose. What's the deal with waiting in a line anyway? So in the next 6.5 minutes, I'm going to take you through what it means to be waiting in a line from an economics perspective, a sociological perspective, and a psychological perspective. So let's start with the economics of queuing. So economically speaking, anytime you see a line, what you're looking at is a temporary market failure where supply just cannot keep up with demand at that particular point. So let's use Dunkin' Donuts here as an example. So you can see all these people out the front waiting to get their hands on a tasty donut, calorie-filled, but they don't care. How long they're waiting or how long they're willing to wait in that line depends on a couple of things. So firstly, how bad do they want that donut? So that's sort of a function of how tasty the donut is, how exclusive the donut is, how rare it is, how delicious it is, as well as each person's personal affinity for donuts. How much do I like donuts? And secondly, what would they be doing with their time otherwise? What are they giving up to be there? Is it giving up time with friends, with family, children? Are they supposed to be at work? You know, lawyers bill in 6-minute increments. I don't think there's going to be many lawyers in that line. Clearly, all these people really want a donut because they're all still there and none of them have anything better to do with their time. This line, though, economists hate lines. This line is just failure personified because what a line means is waste. What a line means is inefficiency. People standing in line, they're not generating things, they're not making things, they're not buying things or contributing to GDP. And it's also a really big waste opportunity for the donut shop who could clearly be selling more donuts if they just got their act together. And perhaps predictably, economists have some pretty straightforward solutions as to how to avoid this line in the first place or minimise it once it does occur. So first suggestion, pump more donuts out. It's pretty obvious, isn't it? If they can sell more donuts more quickly, the line will go. Failing that, they'd suggest to raise the price of the donuts. So as the price of the donut moves from $1 to $2 to $3, obviously less people are going to want the donuts and the line will inevitably shorten. But sometimes for both sort of moral and practical reasons, there's some things that as a society we're not really comfortable with raising the price of just to control demand. It's not the right thing to do. For example, if you've ever found yourself in a hospital casualty ward, you'll know that a stubbed toe but a $50 bill in your hand won't get you ahead of the guy that's got a knife hanging out of his neck. So you can't really blame a guy for trying. But while increasing efficiency and lifting prices is going to eliminate some lines, we're not going to get rid of them entirely. There's always going to be Woolworths and Australia Post, and the next iPhone. In fact, if you've grown up in countries like Australia, the UK, the US, Canada, waiting in lines just seems like an inevitable part of human existence. So much so that we've got line etiquette, like rules that we follow that are just supposed to be good citizenship behaviour. Turns out, though, that lines aren't actually that universal. So we'll take a look at the sociological view to explain that. Sociologists would tell us that the willingness of people to wait in a line is actually a factor of two things. So firstly, you've got to be raised in a country where lines have proven themselves to be useful things to wait in, that your patience will be rewarded with getting the thing that you're waiting for. And this means there needs to be ample supply to sort of give to all those people. The second thing, if you've grown up in a country where ample supply is not a given, so you've grown up in scarcity, you might not feel so good about waiting at the back of the line to get that thing that you don't know is going to be there by the time you get to the front. So you might take a different tact and form some sort of scrum or push your way to the front as best you can. like it or not, the scrum and pushing in front is bad line etiquette in Australia. And as long as we enjoy the abundance that we do have in Australia, you can be certain that you'll be spending a reasonable chunk of your life waiting in lines. Which brings us back to that original 66 hours. With all those hours, you'd hope that someone somewhere has actually put a bit of thought into this and has tried to make the waiting in line experience a little bit more tolerable. And thankfully, with the help of psychologists, somebody has. So psychologists have actually worked out some pretty interesting hacks when it comes to improving the perception of the line waiting experience. And the guys obviously at Disneyland are right at the forefront of this stuff. So Disneyland knows that unoccupied time feels much, much longer than occupied time. So if you've ever been to Disneyland, I'm going to guess some people in this room probably have, you'll notice that there's stuff to do while you're in the line, like games to play or things to read or entertainers to watch to keep you occupied while you wait. They know that uncertain waits feel much longer than certain waits. So that's why you'll see the displays of how long the ride line is going to take you to get to the front. And then they deliberately overinflate that number so that when you get to the front, you're super chuffed that you got 2 minutes ahead of schedule. And they know that unfair waits feel much worse than fair waits. So that's why you'll notice that the lines are all single serpentine lines. So you can visually mark who's around you, who's behind you, and who's in front of you. So you can feel safe knowing that no one's going to push in and beat you to the front. And it makes the wait feel much, much better. So in addition to Disneyland, airports have actually really started to take this on board in their service design, although you might not realise it or know it. So airports just know that people want to get started. They want to start doing stuff. Why am I waiting? They know that the longer the wait, the more anxiety people have, and they know that an unexplained wait will have people more frustrated than an explained wait. And all these things are contributing to the redesigning of the baggage collection process of all things to keep passengers occupied for longer. So it used to be the case that your plane would land, it would taxi into the gate, you jump off, walk 2 seconds to the baggage carousel, and then wait for 10 minutes for your bag to come out and just sort of sitting there waiting with nothing to do. If the bags take 10 minutes to get to the carousel, it makes so much more sense to put the carousel way to bugger at the other end of the airport so that people have to walk for 7 minutes to go get their bags, and then they're only waiting for 3 of those 10 minutes. So while keeping us occupied and informed doesn't actually reduce the amount of time that we're spending in a line, it does improve our perception of the line waiting experience. And as a room full of marketers, I don't need to tell you that perception is reality. Thank you.